Fireside Tattoo Podcast. Let me reach over real professional like, grab my beer. The official podcast, the Fireside Tattoo Network. I'm here with Dactyl. No, this is Terrah. Okay, I get it now, Pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah. What? So what are the other ones that go with Dactyl?
Terranado, Terrible.
Terrible.
I won't say some of the others. I don't think they're appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll stop there.
Good. All right. So Terrah Wilmot from Queen Bee here in Oregon, and so you work for Riley, who is a producer. What do you call him? Co-organizer, owner of the Evergreen Tattoo Invitational.
Yes.
And it's winding down. This is day 3.
It is.
Like, people are clearing out. What do you think they think whenever people start taking their banners down and there's still 2 hours left to go?
Riley and them, I think that they're probably like, I don't blame them, for starters, but also, you just never know. Somebody could walk up in those last 2 hours, but it's been a long, good weekend. I think everybody's been staying really busy. And I know some people are from, even out of the country, if not out of the state. So people have, flights to catch. So can't blame them.
I get that. I would just think, I would be nervous about people who are buying tickets. And, of course, if you're buying a ticket to come in the last 2 or 3 hours of a show, you're probably just window shopping anyways. You're not really going to get tattooed. So probably not the end of the world. But still, when you walk through and, like, banners are all coming down, you're like, I guess I better get out of here.
There's always going to be that one person, though, that's like, hey, can I get a half sleeve?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Like, I saw it done once. On the TV show, it was done. They did it in 35 minutes.
Yep.
So how long have you been tattooing?
4.5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so still really fresh to the game.
Did you start at Queen Bee?
I did, yes. I apprenticed under Riley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so been with them for about 5.5 years altogether.
So that was going to be my next question. So you basically, it's a school, it's a different type of apprenticeship, right?
Correct.
So it's a year before you can start tattooing?
It's about a year, yeah. So the way Riley has it structured is everybody's a little bit on a different path depending on, where they're at. I finished mine in about a year. I was commuting to get to the school because there's only so many in Oregon, So, we get people coming from all over. But, you have to go to school. There's certain hour requirements. You have to do a certain amount of procedures. And then making sure that you are certified in bloodborne pathogens, CPR, and then getting your state test. All taken care of before you can actually tattoo here in Oregon.
I do that CPR renewal every single year, but I don't think I could do CPR. I have no idea how to do it.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm certified, but don't ask me. Nope.
Right, yeah.
I'll delegate that to somebody else.
I would never, they don't require it in Tennessee, but they require it at most shows that you go to. They'll want to see your CPR and bloodborne pathogens, so I do it every year. And then, every time I finish, I've gotten to where I don't watch the videos anymore. I just kind of take a stab at the test until I score high enough to get it right. And then I realized, this thing is worthless. If someone falls out at my station, then they're just going to lay there. I'll be like, help.
I feel like the CPR portion might be easier, but it's like when people start having strokes or, anything crazier than that, I think I'd black out. I'd panic. Don't ask me.
Have you had to deal with any of that yet? Like people passing out or anything like that?
There's been a few people that have passed out at the shop, but nothing crazy. Just, after a tattoo, they've been there all day. They just haven't eaten enough. Get them some snacks and some water, and then they're fine. Yeah, that's typically the way it goes. I was tattooed one time in my whole career. I had a guy that started to pass out, and kind of like you, I already know. I know how to handle it. I try to keep him in the chair and then stabilize him enough to get some water and a piece of chocolate or something like that. Right.
But this guy started breathing so hard through his nose that he was collapsing his nostrils.
Really?
I can't even make myself do it. Just collapsing his nostrils and eyes rolling back, and I was like, oh my God, I'm trying to wake him up. I ended up, I was tattooing on a Sunday when the shop was closed. I ended up calling 911. And I'm on the phone with 911 when he comes around. He's like, I'm okay. I think I'm okay. And I'm like, I don't think you're okay.
No. Yeah, we're going to call an ambulance for sure.
It was super scary. But and, of course, that was 20-plus years into my tattooing, so I treated it completely nonchalantly until the nostril stuff started. Then I was like, oh, this is out of my area of expertise.
I need professional help at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So I was looking through a little bit of your portfolio. And stylistically, you're doing a lot of different, exploring some still, but you're doing a lot of floral stuff, it seems like, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of the designated flower girl at the shop. I mean, everybody does flowers at the shop, but that's kind of the nickname that I've picked up from everybody. But yeah, I'm really into it. That's what I get asked to do. I'm trying to kind of dabble in a little bit of realism, a little bit of illustrative, kind of taking little bits of everything and making it my own, hopefully. But I'm still, you know, every tattoo is like the first one, you know, all over again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just did a pretty giant kind of rib and sternum piece that was super linear for the last day, and it looks, I didn't see it in person, but I walked by a few times, but I didn't want to like be a creep or get over the top. But I was looking at the photos, and it looks super clean. So it looks like technically you've solved a lot of problems.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still, you know, still working on it. That area is really, really kind of difficult to tattoo on, but I think I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it here. Yeah.
It's even tougher in this type of environment too. And you're right on an end cap where people come in. It's like the main entrance to the show, which is super distracting.
Well, and everybody's been scaring me all weekend because I have a ring light and everybody keeps putting their face inside the ring light. So it just catches me off guard, and I'm trying not to like mess up my tattoo.
Are you, so what was your drawing background before tattooing, before you started the apprenticeship?
You know, really just a lot of self-study at home. I didn't go to college for anything like that. I'm still looking into doing some art classes like at U of O here in Eugene, just to kind of work on some, you know, extracurricular skills and stuff like that. But yeah, just a lot of stuff at home. I think I was holding a pencil before I could actually walk.
Okay, so you've always drawn.
Always, yeah. And that was just kind of my thing. I was just drawing all the time and decided to, you know, try and make a career out of it.
Yeah. What drew you to tattooing? Were you getting tattooed before you started your apprenticeship?
I wasn't, no, because I moved here and you have to be at least 18 to get tattooed here. And, you know, I was kind of a goodie and didn't you know, sneak out to my friend's house and get one in my garage.
So did you start your apprenticeship basically at 18, as soon as you could?
Yes, I believe it was 19 when I started, So as soon as I graduated high school, because you have to have either high school diploma or GED in order to start your apprenticeship here. So got that, and then right away started my apprenticeship, and I've been doing it ever since.
What do you think, I mean, at this point, what problems do you think you've done a good job solving, and where do you still think you struggle, like whether from a drawing standpoint or technically?
I think the biggest thing right now is almost kind of telling people no. I used to just kind of do whatever somebody asked of me, you know, when they first came into the shop, right when I was, you know, freshly licensed. And now I'm kind of stepping back a little bit and trying to really give people the best piece that I can give them. And not trying to cram everything, like the whole kitchen sink, into one tattoo, which was really hard for me, telling people no. And just working on technical stuff, you know, getting cleaner lines and making the color, you know, stick in there. And I'm at that point where I'm starting to see some of my tattoos healed, you know, which is always a really big learning experience, and seeing how that heals out and wondering what I could have maybe changed for next time.
Yeah, and that's it's so important, and it's something that unfortunately there's no way to learn other than just like staying in the same town and actually seeing stuff come back and forming relationships with clients, so that you do get to see those tattoos come in and see what worked and what didn't. And inevitably, you know, for the first 2 or 3 years of your tattooing, most things just aren't going to work as well as you hoped. You know, you see them come back and you're like, oh, that's not what I expected to see.
We'll fix that. Yes.
I completely agree with that. I still struggle with that in consultations, trying to set expectations with people whenever they come in and they want the cornucopia tattoos. Everything that they ever thought they wanted is in this one tattoo, because it's the only tattoo they're ever going to get.
One and done.
Yeah. So it's even harder earlier on, I think, in your career, because you need to do the tattoo, you need the experience, and you don't want to chase anyone off. And then inevitably you shoot yourself in the foot because you're trying to fit all their crap into one tattoo. Yeah,
it's not until usually afterwards that you're like, you know what, I didn't need to, you know, do all of that right away. And so that was something that I was trying to learn from early in my career.
You said that you're trying to focus a little more on realism. What type of realism are you into portraiture or figurative stuff or
more portraiture stuff? That's what I tend to kind of focus on in my downtime. You know, when I'm drawing on my own or painting, it's usually people, animals, that kind of stuff. And so really trying to focus on that. And that's kind of the direction I wanted to take when I first started tattooing, was getting right into realism. But I think I've kind of gone a little bit more illustrative, and I'm having a ton of fun with it, you know, and you know, I still have got lots of time to kind of explore the realism world as well.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, there are a lot of people that are doing really beautiful realism, but I think it's the most interesting when they're finding a way to make it their own. And sometimes if you find yourself just like doing more illustrative forms of realism, then that's just what your realism turns out to be, you know, which is awesome.
And I think that's kind of the direction it's going, is a little bit of both, so.
Yeah. Are you focusing more on color or black and gray?
Definitely color. Yeah. I love black and gray so much. I love to wear it. I love to see it. I love to do it. I just happen to get asked for color a lot more. It makes total sense in my brain.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I go with.
So in your realism work, you're focused on color realism, you think?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's something, especially in portraiture, something I have never really explored. I see people doing it so well now that I'm like, well, good, you got that down. So
it's a bit intimidating for sure to see other people, especially at a place like this, you know, where you have hundreds of amazing artists doing everything, you know, under the sun, and you see some pieces that you're like, that can't even be possible.
Yeah.
You know, but it almost makes you want to go home and try it out yourself.
Yeah, definitely. It's and there are plenty of people around here. We have just a couple of booths down there. Pooch is doing some real crazy, you know, color realism, and there's so many people that are excelling at it now. And it's an exciting time to be. And you're, you know, 5 years in, you've definitely solved some problems, but you still got in at a great time. When there was so much information out there, people willing to share, and you actually get to see what's possible in tattooing, and you're not so much held to all of the old ideas that I might have been held to in the 90s starting, where it was like, oh, well, you have to outline everything, and you really have to lay all that gray foundation first.
Definitely.
And then you can do your color. And like, I never questioned that stuff, but now you get to see people coming up who completely have abandoned those rules and are doing incredible work.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing. I do feel really fortunate to be coming into this industry when I did. You know, like you said, everybody's kind of open about, you know, what they've learned, you know, in their 10, 20, 30 years of tattooing experience. And I've been trying to soak that up as much as possible and apply that to my tattoos as well. So doing the educational before this show was actually really super helpful. My brain's a little mush from it.
Yeah.
I need about a month to digest.
What do you think you got out of it? Can you pull any like nuggets? I was talking to Million about this the other day. Like, what'd you get out of the educational? And it's always interesting to see what resonates with people. Can you think of any stuff that really stood out to you? Yeah,
the one thing that really stood out to me was when Kyle was doing his seminar and talking about how he is lightening or deepening his skin tones with greens and purples. And for me, I just, for some reason, never really thought to do that, because I'm like, well, you don't want to make him look like a zombie, you know?
Right.
But the way that he explained it, just like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense, you know, using those deeper tones or lighter tones instead of white or black, you know, and, you know, trying not to muddy up those colors. That was one thing that was just like, oh, light bulb. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely. And that's some of that stuff that comes from like realism, from painting, that people are finally starting to incorporate into tattooing. I remember taking a workshop several years ago from Casey Ball, and I was darkening and lightening with black and white too. And he was like, just think of if we're trying to play with warm and cool, he's like, if you're adding white, just think of it as blue. If you're adding black, think of it as blue. You're always cooling it off. So if you need to warm it up, don't go to those two. Go to something that will warm that shadow up or warm that dark. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes somebody just has to break it down for you to kind of really be like, oh, I don't know why I didn't think of that beforehand.
Yeah. What do you what type of equipment and stuff are you using? Did you start? Is Riley one of those that makes everyone start on coils and then move over? Or did you start with rotaries and?
Both, actually. it was kind of depending on his mood that day, what we got to kind of tattoo with. I mean, I've used everything from like a $13 coil machine off eBay, to, what people are using now, like FK irons and, stuff like that. So I would say most of my apprenticeship was done with Rotaries. That's just what I feel most comfortable with. But there was definitely tons of machine building, going into the shop, and, he's like, here's your machine. There's one part missing. Figure it out, But definitely a lot more Rotaries than coils.
Yeah.
And I'm more comfortable with that.
Right. I came up, and the Rotaries had kind of been introduced years ago, and then they went away, and everyone was using coils. And when they came back around, I was hesitant on the front end. And Guy Aitchison said to me once, I overheard him saying once, that the new Rotaries made it so you didn't have to be a mechanic to drive a car.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's a good way to look at it. Like, I'm always screwing with coil machines all the time. It's like it takes so much time away from my tattooing because I'm always fixing, like, readjusting the contact screw or trying to play with a spring or, like, sanding something. Or whatever.
Or, if your clip core is just not in there right. Yeah, and if something malfunctions, you could spend, a good half an hour trying to figure out what that one piece is. So I think using Rotaries, it just takes a lot of the guesswork out, at least for me personally. I know a lot of people still love coils. And if it's working, then great, Why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, we'll get comments on this episode about that. People will just be like, you're an idiot. You don't know anything. Yeah. So how are you booking right now? Are you trying to focus? Are you doing appointment based? Did you ever do any? I guess you probably did walk-ins to start just because you needed to. Are you still taking walk-ins? If so, do you?
I do.
You like that?
I definitely do. I started out in Riley's street shop, so I feel like I'm pretty well equipped for stuff like that. Just kind of working on the fly, but I would say I'm getting a lot more appointment-based, starting to kind of book my time out a lot more, doing bigger pieces that need a little bit more design work versus just kind of coming in, maybe printing something off, doing a few tweaks here and there, and then slapping it on the skin and going.
What are you learning as far as making that transition, as far as like time management? Obviously your homework increases when you start making appointments. Yeah,
definitely. The homework load is a lot bigger when you are appointment based. It's a lot of drawing at home and in your downtime when you're not tattooing at the shop, and just making the time to do that, especially for larger pieces that might need 3 or 4 different layers or
Yeah. So how far, if people wanted to get tattooed, how do they reach out to you? What's the best way?
Usually email. Okay. Yeah, I check that several times a day. Instagram, not so much. Social media, not as often. So definitely email is the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay. Any particular? Are you just distracted by social media, or when you get on it, or do you just not enjoy it?
I do enjoy it. I feel like emailing is a lot more streamlined for me versus going back and forth with people on social media, or if we're not friends, I got to accept a friend request, Right. It's just, with an email, it's just right there. I can check it really quickly, see if somebody's reached out. Yeah.
Well, that's an important lesson I think that you got fairly early on. I'm always amazed at the number of people that come on the show that I'm like, how do people get in touch with me? They're like, well, my phone number's on my Instagram, or you can DM me, or you can Facebook me, or you can, my email is this. And it's like, you accept all of those? Like, yeah, I don't care. I'll take your money however you want to spend it. I'm like, all right, man, that seems like a lot of work. But
I've definitely taken some appointments through like DM and stuff like that. But then if I'm like, hey, what did that person want? Again, I'm scrolling through like 8 different kind of accounts to try and find that one message. So Instagram for me it works. It's streamlined. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we'll put all. What is your Instagram handle?
Terrah Wilmot Tattoos.
We'll drop that in the show notes. If you find yourself in Oregon, in Eugene or Springfield, in particular, be sure to swing through Queen Bee, because it's a really nice shop, and it's bigger than I realized it was.
It's huge. We got 2 buildings.
Yeah, I noticed that. And Riley was talking about adding trying to get the upstairs or something like that.
Yeah, our neighbors finally moved out from upstairs, so he's working on it. He's always got a project in mind.
Yeah. Are you doing other shows coming up?
My next one, I think, as of right now, will be the 208 show in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is also their show.
Yes, also theirs. Show. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be my next one.
Are you going to have anything to do or go to the new one in Vegas, the Champions show?
Champions, yes, I will be attending that one as well. Yeah, I'm really stoked on that one. That one's going to be really awesome. The caliber of people that are going to be there is going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I can't wait to see how that one unfolds with the competition and all that. I'm real excited about that. Well, cool. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you
Great
so
meeting
much.
you.
Nice meeting you.
I love seeing your work, and we'll make sure, I'm sure we've been dropping some of your work in through this episode so that people don't just have to stare at us the whole time.
Perfect.
And like I said, if you guys want to reach out, if you find yourself in Boise, when is that show?
July this year. I'm not sure of the exact dates, but July, so summertime.
Cool. Well, reach out, say hi, even if you're not getting tattooed, and stick your face in the
ring light.
In the ring light.
Stick it in there.
Yep. That's it. Thank you guys for supporting what we do. Thank you, Terrah, for taking the time. We'll see you guys soon. And thanks again to Evergreen. We're winding down. We have 1 or 2 more episodes left. We're going to wrap it for the year. Thanks. Bye.